Bless up everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am your host Mugi and the channel is Mugi's Corner. My corner, your corner, our corner. In my company, I have a special visitor. Well, a special guest, right? And I am very privileged to have her today, and we are going to be talking to her. She's on a journey, and the purpose of the video is for her to share her journey and some other, details, obviously, of her journey that could be helpful to you or any other person. So if you find this broadcast useful, please make sure that you like the video, share it. If it's not useful to you, it may be useful to another person. So when you share the video, it helps the message to reach as many people, and then in the due course, many people will be helped. I want to welcome you, and I'm going to give you a chance to introduce yourself. And straight after the introduction, I'm going to request you to give the audience a little background, of yourself.
Okay, first of all, thanks for having me here. I really appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
I love Mugi's Corner.
Come on. And you too, who is watching, should subscribe to show your love.
And like, share, and subscribe. Okay, so my name is Robin, really, but everyone calls me Rio. I'm from North Carolina, the United States, and I'm here because, I've always wanted to come to Africa, especially the past 7 or 8 years, and I wanted to know if living here, being here, is as good in real life as it is in my head, because in my head, it's amazing. The people in Uganda are warm, friendly, loving, and I don't know what your religions are out there, but these are some praying folks. I thought the Southern Church got down, but wow, they pray. So, that's one thing. When you come to Africa, spirituality began here. It's in the soil. It's in the very, very grass that we're sitting on. So when you come here, you need to be right with God anyway, because spirituality in all of its forms lives here. So being surrounded by all of these praying people, amazing.
Now, I would not be wrong, or I am not wrong when I say you are on your journey to repatriate, back to the continent, right?
That's right.
Now, obviously you've been to a few countries,
Yeah.
all right? You've seen few things, but I want to ask you a question. At what point in your life did you decide that you wanted to repatriate, and why?
I guess it was about 7 or 8 years ago. Okay, I've been dreaming of Africa since I was 7 years old, but I never really took it seriously. It was just a reoccurring dream that I was in this village, and we were doing great things together, and I'm not going to tell that whole dream, but all the way up to today, I'm 61 now, so I've been having that dream a long time. And about 7 or 8 years ago, I just started getting tired of America. I was tired of it.
A lot of people are tired, but forgive me for distracting you. Just hold that thought, we'll come back to it. Just carry on with the discussion. At what point did you decide that you wanted to leave America and come back to Africa, and the reason why you wanted to come back to Africa? Because many people go to Asia, other people go different places. Europe, I've seen quite a few who go to Europe. But why did you want to come
Don't
to
get me
Africa?
wrong, I investigated all those places before I looked at Africa. I went to Colombia in South America because it was cheap to live there and you could have a pretty modern lifestyle. But then you would have to learn Spanish and you're still dealing with racism, really, so that didn't work out. Actually, I loved it while I was there, but no, that wasn't for me. So people were talking about Costa Rica. So I looked at Costa Rica, but wherever I go, I want to be around African people. So I looked at Afro Costa Rica, Limon, Puerto Limon, where the Africans are. And that was interesting, but you still gotta learn Spanish. I don't know why. I've lived in America all my life. Spanish has been around me all my life. I've just never had an interest in it. Then I looked at Portugal. People, Thailand. People were talking about Thailand, cheap living. And I looked and it's like, those aren't my people. That's not my tribe. You know?
I feel you.
I love Thai food, don't get me wrong. They got that down. But that's not my tribe.
Your spirit was still not, connecting.
To any of that. To any of it. So then Portugal came about. And it's like, okay, well, Portugal is close to Africa. And a lot of people were going to Portugal, and then it turned out the people in Portugal was running Americans out because it seemed like nearly all of California dumped into Portugal at one time. And in California, the cost of living is extremely expensive. So when they got to Portugal and saw the low cost of living, they started buying stuff up and snatching stuff up and drove up the cost of living in Portugal. So the indigenous people were like, y'all gotta go. We can't even afford to live in our own land.
Because you're mashing up the place,
Yeah, running up prices. Now we can't afford to eat, can't afford to pay rent. Y'all got to go. And the government did just that, escorted them out. A lot of them went to Switzerland. These were the white people. Went to Switzerland and that. And some of the black people stayed in Lisbon and some went to other European countries. Some came to Africa. Then the year of return happened in Ghana.
Yeah, 2019.
2019.
Yeah, I was following that, what
Yeah.
was happening in Ghana, right?
That's right. They had the year of return, and I was planning on going to that, but work said differently. And then COVID happened,
Right.
so I couldn't go then. And at this point, I'm focused on Africa. Not just Ghana, but Africa. I started with Botswana because, in your research, you want to look for who has good health care, good schools, roads, good policies for immigration. How easy is it to transition and move there? And Botswana was ticking all the boxes. Thing is, I don't want to live in Botswana. It just wasn't me. It just, I tried watching the videos, I tried to fall in love with it, but it couldn't happen. So then I started looking at Senegal. Oh, Senegal. It was so colorful and the people are so alive, and it was like, yeah, this is it. But French, I don't like France. Sorry, not for nothing, but the French kind of soft, especially when they're running a country. Macron or whatever his name is.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say he's the devil? Okay, I won't say that.
and to your point, in that part of Africa, the Sahel, when a lot of things have been happening, but we didn't know what that it was happening. Now it's after the most recent coups that a lot of what France has been doing came to light. We came to know about what really France has been doing. So, I would concur with you when you say France, they are the devil. judging by what they have been doing to those states and what they continue to do
Yes.
to the countries that have not come to the realization of, hey, we need to send them back home. We need to send them back to France because that's where they belong. But anyway, that's
Ibrahim Traore, can we hear it for?
yeah, round of applause. However, that's not the point of discussion today. We don't want to lose, our main focus. Let's go back. Obviously, you took your time to study the countries to which, you wanted to come to,
Right.
Botswana, Senegal, and other countries. So you want to continue, breaking down that for us.
Okay, so after Senegal, and this was way before Burkina Faso and the coup and all that. This is like 21, 22 maybe. After Senegal, I went to Gambia. I had my DNA done. And I found out that the majority of my DNA is Jola of the Guinea-Bissau tribe. So I followed that tribe's history and found out they originated in South Egypt, migrated across the continent to West Africa with the Mandinka. And the Mandinka named them Jola. I forgot the original name, I'm sorry, but Jola means they give what you, they pay back what you give or something like that. So I started looking at Guinea-Bissau, definitely don't want to go there. So the Gambia was right in between. Senegal surrounds the Gambia. And the Jola and the Mandinka are in Senegal, Gambia, and Guinea-Bissau. So I figured I couldn't lose. My actual tribe was there.
All right.
But then a bunch of stuff started happening in the Gambia.
Yeah, a lot of news, discouraging news.
Very discouraging news
Yeah.
for African Americans. And it all started with one lady that just did way too much talking. And it stirred up the pot. But
So that was, you kicked that off your bucket
it's
list.
out.
All right.
And,
Even though your people were there and the connection, I would say the connection automatically started to come, but
That's when I
for some
started
reason.
connecting, but not enough to go over there and get unalived. If I'm
Yeah.
So then I started looking more back again at Ghana. But Ghana was still requiring the vaccine, the shot.
Right.
And I'm like, why? It's over. Nobody's really got it anymore. So I felt like it was a puppetry thing happening. And plus the prices were shooting up. And I'm looking to retire, so I started looking at East Africa again. I went to Tanzania, traveling sister, following her and getting all of her advice. And Tanzania seemed to be a good place. So I was interested to go there, but then they killed Magufuli.
Yeah, the devil killed Magufuli.
Yes, he was amazing. He was like the preface to Ibrahim
Yeah.
Traore.
I agree, yeah. He was doing
Yeah.
some really wonderful stuff there
Yes.
in Tanzania.
So when that happened, it's like who knows what's going to happen next? What puppet they're going to put in? So I started looking at countries around Tanzania. O'Shea Jackson is in
Here in
Kampala.
Eugene, yeah.
Right. And he talks a lot. I've been following him, or kind of, since he was in the States doing YouTube. So when he was talking about Uganda, I was like, I don't know much about Uganda. I don't know. Then I stumbled across your channel, and I like the things that you were saying and the way you were going with the Hebrew Israelites and land reasonably priced, and you were trying to gather community.
Yeah. So let me just put some context there, because it's still very much a project of mine that I am still dedicated to working on. Well, just to give you some context as to why she was attracted to, when she came to my channel, and what she saw is that I went out and made a video inviting Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters, because there is a pretty good number of them who wants to repatriate, come back to Africa. So I just say to myself, why don't I invite them to come to Uganda and check it out? And if it ticks the boxes, we can set up a community. It's still a project of mine, or a vision of mine that I am, it's in progress. You still have to convince people. Some people are not quite ready to move. Others are planning, but yeah, it's still very much something that I am working on. I still have quite a few people who tell me they're interested to come down. I've had a couple come down, a couple of people come down to visit and then return, to get themselves ready. But yeah, carry on. When you saw, what I was talking about, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that intrigued me heavily because a couple of years ago, I discovered, well, maybe 4 years ago, I discovered who I am as far as Hebrew and being an Israelite, and I was deep into my studies when I saw you do the invitation. So it's like, oh my goodness, in the States, there's a lot of camps of Hebrew Israelites, but they're mostly in large cities. I lived in a little country town, so everybody was Christian and didn't really relate to the Hebrew thing and black people being Hebrews. And it's got a lot of waking up to do as far as I'm concerned. But so there was no tribe, there was no community, there was no one to communicate and collaborate with that felt the same way I did. So when I saw you doing that, it's like, well, yeah, we can get together over there, So that's what got me looking at Uganda. And then everybody was talking about Nairobi, Kenya. So Kenya never was really a thing for me.
I wanted to ask you. Obviously, you've been in a few countries, especially in East Africa, and then I understand that during this period of your visit, you were on a journey to check out these countries, all right? And out of the research that you have conducted online, all right, picked out a few countries of interest, and you've been to a few of them, Uganda being one of them. So now the next point of discussion, I would like you to kind of elaborate the countries you have visited, all right? You would have seen during your research, online research, you would have seen some things being said about these countries and a lot of stuff online. But is it, well, what you have seen online, does it translate to the reality when you got there? So first, tell us the countries, other countries you have visited, and then, to my point, what you saw online during your research, did it quite translate to reality when you arrived in those countries?
Actually, in a lot of ways, yet. Now, Kenya for me, and I don't really like to give opinions on places that I visit because my experience won't be your experience. We could go to the same country, go to the same exact places, deal with the same exact people, and have two very different experiences.
And form, and your experience helps you to form an opinion. So
right.
Absolutely, but just in general, what you saw.
Okay, so for Kenya, I went to Nairobi, and a lot of the people that I watched in Kenya were young, except for a couple of older couples. So Kenya might be good if you're a couple, because you have someone to kind of go back and forth with, someone to collaborate with. Kenya, Nairobi is fast.
Africa's best.
Nairobi, they ain't playing with you. Okay, they are out to get theirs, and you better be ready to hold on to yours, because if you're not, they will get it.
Buckle up.
Yes, it's going to be a bumpy ride. For young people, they probably would enjoy Nairobi because it's a lot of stuff to do. There's malls, there's clubs and lounges and all kind of places to
Very
go.
vibrant, and they probably have energy left to, to run around.
It's a young population, so if you're like 20s, 30s, go for it. But for me, it's like I'm not clubbing so much anymore, and I don't know. I'm tired of the rat race. I don't want to be in a rat race. I'm not,
Not about that life.
I'm not about that life. I enjoyed learning about the Maasai and stuff like that, and it had its points. The barbecue was good, stuff like that, but not my tribe. Then I went to Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, and I like Tanzania.
A lot of African Americans coming to Africa are choosing Tanzania. Even before COVID happened, they were choosing Tanzania. So tell us what you saw that could possibly explain why.
Well, you get the modern amenities with the community, the sense of community.
Very important.
Very important.
Because you need it. It's
Every
a new
country
place.
I've been to, people look each other in the eye. We don't do that in America. No, that's too much of a commitment. We ain't looking you in your eye. What? I'm looking at the top of your head. I'm looking at your chin. I'm looking over there. Every now and then I might glance past your eye. You look somebody in the eye, you want something. Kind of, almost is like, yeah. You look people in the eye, you already have some kind of serious bond. You're not just talking to some random person and looking them dead in the eye. That's the first thing I noticed in Kenya and in Tanzania. In Tanzania, I was riding in a tuk-tuk, and something happened with his engine or something, and we had to stop. Tuk-tuks and boaters and cars, everybody, instead of bonking, get out the way or whatever, like I'm used to seeing, everybody stopping. You good?
Trying to
What's
help
going on? Trying to help.
the guy stranded by the roadside. Wow.
Trying to help.
Wow.
One guy ciphered some gas, but he ran out of gas or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ciphered
From
some
his-
gas from his tuk-tuk.
Into these guys tuk-tuk. Wow,
That
what a life.
amazed me.
And please hold that thought. See, in Africa, traditionally, we are not so much, our communities, our society are not so much built on individualism. We are built on, life is community-based. That's why at parties, you will see that there's a large gathering at a party, a wedding, or graduation party, or funeral. You will see so many people coming up to support. And I think that's what keeps us together. That's been our culture. So we're seeing this tuk-tuk guy who you would normally, in other places expect that everybody's going to be, going beside and continuing. They're stopping to actually find out, are you okay? And help the guy. Isn't that beautiful?
It's yes.
It is very
It's
beautiful.
very beautiful.
You would love that if you're stranded, if that's your tuk-tuk.
Yes.
You want somebody to, hey, you're good? How can I help you?
Yes.
That kind of lifts you up and it improves your life in general, because if I ever land in trouble, there's probably someone who is watching my back or who got me. So
Yes.
carry on, please.
Yes. And well, actually, that's one of the main reasons I wanted to come to Africa, because you still have community. Every country has that. Some countries are more tribalistic, but it's still there. If you're in the community, you're part of the community. And we lost that in America decades ago. So I can say that about Tanzania. It's also very modern. Dar es Salaam is, you can go out further into the rural villages, but I was in the Dar es Salaam region. Um, so you have all the modern facilities and all of that, but it's still that country vibe that people are taking their time and, living like smelling the roses and getting to know each other and I don't know, look at each other and I don't know how to explain it, but I really liked Tanzania. And then I came to, and it's easy to do business. That's the main thing.
Very important.
As a foreigner, you can go there and set up a business in Tanzania pretty easily. You probably should connect with expat or someone you trust to show you the right way to go about it. But once you do, I would suggest Tim Ford from T3andMe because him and his wife do excellent research. They have the connections, the attorneys, they know which ministries and all of that to go to.
They've been there, they've done it.
That's right. And they're doing it.
They're doing it.
They have like 3, 4, 5 businesses now.
Wow.
And they've been there 4 years from America. So that's important. And path to citizenship or residency is simple.
So, let's talk about that. I know that in many African countries, it's not quite easy. There are a lot of barriers to moving there and later on acquiring permanent residence, or acquiring land. Because when I talk to people who want to come back to Africa, they like the idea of being able to acquire your own land, start your own business, and isn't it encouraging to learn that there is no bureaucracy? The process is simplified. They make it easy. It's as if to say that, oh, you're welcome. Come in. We'll make things easy for you. So, in so doing, people are attracted to go.
Right. See, the thing about coming to Africa is, all right, when people go to America or to Europe, Australia, Canada, they're going for opportunity.
Correct.
People are going to get a job, to get a paycheck. When you come to Africa, you have to bring the opportunity. You can't come to Africa with your hand out looking for a job because people here need a job.
Can't find a job.
Right. So naturally, you want to go to a country where they make it easy to set up business.
Correct.
And make sure you have a business acumen because you don't want to be throwing your money away. But most countries that I've researched make it pretty easy. Now, I don't know how it is in Uganda. Actually, I didn't do the research on it in Uganda. But yeah, everybody's coming to Africa now. It's the final frontier.
So, to your point, if you're interested in, learning how you can move to Uganda, how you can settle to Uganda, I have a video on this channel, so you can go and watch it. I attached several links to help you. It's kind of like a crash course, discussing the several permits that are available and what you need to qualify. Then I also have another video on the channel that discusses, it's like a gateway to starting investing in Uganda. That is also another one that anybody watching and you want an answer to how you can do that in Uganda, you can go back and watch. So 2 pretty important videos. If you're interested in Uganda, you can go back, how you can move to Uganda the several entry permits and visas and stuff and what you need to qualify. You can go and watch that video. Then also to get started with investing, I would highly recommend that you go back and watch those videos. They will be very helpful to you. So
I actually missed some videos. Okay.
you'll be able to see them on the channel.
Yeah, probably dropped those while I was traveling.
So all right. So the other point of interest now, obviously you've been to Kenya, Tanzania, and now you're here in Uganda. So another hot topic that is worth our time is the divide. Now, I haven't personally seen it because I've interacted with many African Americans. I have friends who come and go back and forth, America, Uganda, and then also visitors, tourists. Especially, this is a point between African Americans and continental Africans. There is a divide on the internet where some people seem to suggest that, oh, continental Africans do not consider African Americans as part of their family. Have you seen that kind of discourse online?
Well, I've seen it online.
Yeah. My question to you is, having seen it online, so I don't know the viewers, I'm sure you would have seen people, African Americans, or maybe other continental Africans kind of parroting that narrative that, oh, we are not the same, or y'all are not part of us, or we are different, you're not part of us, we don't like you, or this group does not like the other group, or the other group does not welcome this other group, all right? So it's really important to kind of hear from your perspective, having been to these countries. Have you seen any of that? You have interacted with many people in those countries. How have they treated you? Have they treated you in any way that seems to confirm that there is a divide, or is it otherwise?
I'm going to go with otherwise because, okay, so a lot of people use the, oh, they're going to scam you and they're out to scam you, but it really doesn't matter where you go on this earth. Somebody is going to try to scam you or pickpocket you or whatever. And it's no different when you come to Africa. So it's like you have to conduct yourself like you would anywhere else you go. You know, guard your things and use your common sense. Yeah.
Of the situations you find yourself in.
Right.
Try to discern. Think twice before you make a decision.
It still
Don't
doesn't
trust easily.
Right. It still doesn't mean you won't get got.
You may.
They got me in Nairobi. I ain't even gonna lie. But it doesn't mean that the entire country is against you because you're African American. I've been received very well in all of the countries that I've been.
Big up.
Yeah.
Yeah, big up the people that have had to help Rio on her journey. You know what I'm saying? Trying to make it smooth and as wonderful as it could possibly be. You know?
Yeah.
So I really hate it when I see such people continuing the divide. Because as black people, we have a lot of things that, you know, are dividing us. First of all, we're excluded from other different kinds of people. I don't want to go into much of that. But I think the people who come with such narratives, I think they should judge people on a personal or an individual basis, as opposed to generalizing. I don't feel that there is any divide. Having dealt and having met with African Americans, I still receive them as part of my brothers and sisters. You know, I still want us to work towards that unification wherever we are, Africans on the continent as well as Africans on in the diaspora, because ultimately we rise as a group and we fall as a group. You know, dear Africans, get over the individualism, and come to a realization that we rise as a group and fall as a group. You're not going to be respected because you stand out, all right? Unless your fellow African brothers and sisters are up there with you, then you will not get respect until all Africans get the respect. You know what I'm saying? So this brings me to another point that I wish.
Before you move on, can I say something? You were saying we rise as a group, we fall as a group.
Correct.
Also, united we stand, divided we fall.
Well, you kind of phrased it exactly how I would have loved it.
Yeah, I think a lot of those people, some of them just want attention. They want views. The more controversial you are, the higher your views, the higher your likes, and all of that. They might not even really feel that way.
Thank you.
A lot of the people that are having these conversations don't even have the other person in the room. It's like, how can I talk about Africans and then nothing in the room but African Americans?
Exactly. You haven't been to Africa.
There's no one. Yeah.
Probably have never directly engaged or
Exactly.
interacted with
Exactly.
an African, wherever they are.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have both people as part of the conversation, then what are you doing is gossiping. To me,
Exactly.
those are like plants. They're just there to cause distraction and chaos. And then there are people that are weak in the mind that will actually listen to that crap and spread it as if it's truth.
Exactly.
When you actually live it, you get to see that no, it's not true. Now, I will say that in the United States, there has been a divide. When in the 70s, we had protests and sit-ins and picketing. We did a lot, storming City Hall to get Africans allowed in the country, because the only people allowed in the country were Europeans or palm color people. They said, okay, you want them to come in? We'll let them in. We was like, yeah. So then they let the Africans in. It was mostly Nigerians at first. And what we didn't know, before they brought them over, they were like, don't mess with those black Americans. Oh, they're thugs. The women are loose. Their children don't go to school. They hate education. They're lazy. They don't want to work.
So kind of a sponsored narrative against, to kind of sponsor the divide, to widen or bring about the divide. I mean, I've seen that. I have seen that, but I think we need to do better. What we should do is we need to do better.
We're learning.
We need to educate ourselves.
We're learning.
You know what I'm saying? So, however, there is always an exception to the rule. They could be, they're tribalists. I can't be naive to not think. I know that there are tribalists among, my people, our people. There are tribalists who may still think that way. However, we need to rise, we need to rise and then kind of brush that to the side and focus on the things that we know help us. You know what I'm saying? So the other thing I want to talk about, the immigration, the back and forth, America, Africa. There is a thing or a saying that is sold to us as the American dream. All right. So now, when I see people like yourself moving from the dream, which is supposed to be, I don't know how to describe it, but
Pie in the sky.
exactly, a heaven, a second heaven, coming to Africa, which is, by the way, sold to the West as a land of conflict, a land of disease, a land of, instability, and a lot of negative things are sold. Poverty, thank you so much. And then we see my brothers, our brothers, willing to do whatever it takes to go to America. Now, I have a question. Is the American dream still alive in your world?
The American dream, I don't know when it died. It died a long time ago. America is not doing so well. And a lot of, you ever seen that movie, The Lion King?
No, I haven't.
Oh, Zazu. Zazu's a bird. He's like the assistant to the king, right? To Mufasa, the Lion King. The hyenas took over with Uncle Scar, and they put Zazu in a cage. Simba went off and was raised elsewhere, and he had established new friends. So they came back to fight the hyenas and get the land back. The mongoose is running into the cage going, let me in, let me in. And Zazu is in the cage going, let me out, let me out.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh my
African
goodness.
Americans are running to Africa, let me in, let me in. And Africans are trying to let me out, let me. But I think we got it right. I think because Africa is the world's breadbasket. Always have been, always will be.
Hands down.
Africa needs nobody. Africa doesn't need anybody for anything.
Correct.
We got the agriculture, the gold, the diamonds, the minerals, the oil, the cobalt, all the
Almost
things,
everything we need to
human
survive.
resources. Just about any intelligent, like science and astrology, mathematics, all came off the continent of Africa. The cellular phone, African. Computer chip, African. We have all it takes. We have the human resources, the intelligence, and all the natural resources. What we don't have is wokeness. We don't have confidence in ourselves to know that we're all we need. We've been brainwashed and oppressed for so long.
Mm-hmm.
We believe the lie, and we're okay with dealing with less than standards and substandard ways of living, and because we're now brainwashed. The slavery ended, physical slavery ended, but the neo-slavery in the mind,
the shackles on the mind,
is even worse.
Before I forget, I'm going to add to what's missing, all right? To add to your point is the leadership. Because don't forget that every revolutionary and people-oriented leader that rises in Africa, they come for him. Don't forget that. So, yeah, the leadership is lacking. And once we get all those missing pieces, the education to educate properly, because I term the existing education system, not actually as the education system, but as what we have is a miseducation system. That's why you can attribute the low self-esteem, thinking that everything that comes from the white man is worthy and everything that's ours is unworthy. So I think the education needs to be corrected, needs to be fine-tuned. The leadership needs to be fine-tuned. Some pieces that are missing, and then boom, Africa is going to go back to the top. So I think it's getting dark. We need to wind up this interview. Otherwise, we could go on and on about. I like talking to you, and this discussion, especially with you, as I say, are very helpful to another person who is still in America, looking. And if they hear directly from people like you who are here on the ground, it kind of, it's like a first-hand experience, isn't it? So it's very important. I want to thank you so very much for coming on.
Can I say one last thing about Uganda?
Right.
How would you like to walk down the street? Just walk down any random street. There's some corn, a mango tree,
Food everywhere.
Papaya.
I tell people on this channel, Uganda.
Avocado.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, you're just walking down the street. This is not somebody's farm. This is not somebody. It's just alongside the road. Food.
Fresh food as well.
Real
So,
food.
Look in my vlogs, or like for example now, look in our background. That's banana, corn. We have papaya, cassava. You know what I'm saying? So it's very, very life-giving. It's very nourishing.
Yes.
You know. So any other thing before we wind down this conversation?
No, I think I've said. I could go on, but
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and let you wrap it up.
All right, so to wrap up this video, I want to remind you again that Babylon is falling. And there is no better time than right now to get out of Babylon. I know that it's very hard on our people, you know, because everywhere you go, our people are struggling. I understand that, but don't procrastinate. All right, think about it, plan for it, and make that move. Africa is waiting, and Africa is ready to receive you. So think about it, plan for it. However, most importantly, do not procrastinate. Now is the right time to move, to make that move. Thank you for watching, and thank you for subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, please, I'm gonna ask you to subscribe, like the video, and also share it so that it reaches somebody else who may need it. Bless, and I will see you in another video. Bye-bye.
Bye.